And the Senate has changed tremendously. I was first in the Senate as an intern for Senator Hatfield. That was way back in 1976, a long time ago. And then I worked for Congress in the 1980s before I came back to Oregon. And when I saw that, I was so proud of the functionality and the deliberation that took place in those chambers at the U.S. House of Representatives and U.S. Senate. And the phrase that used to be used for the U.S. Senate, the world's greatest deliberative body, cannot be used today. We have not had one bill on the floor of the Senate for open debate this year, not one. Not one where you can put up an amendment, have it debated for a few hours, have it voted on. No. It's deeply disturbing. And one of the challenges we have is that the media world is now split in half. Not that they mostly are overlap, they don't even come close to overlap. It's like one version of the world, different version of the world. And so, for example, the last few weeks I've been flipping through the news channels to try to understand how the news media portrays things. And on one channel, about a week ago, there was a conversation about nobody's above the law, the rule of law in the country, the importance of holding people accountable, if they cooperated with a foreign government, the need to stop Russia from ever interfering again. That was one conversation. The other conversation, the reader line at the bottom of the screen said, "Coup against the president." And I was like, "Coup against the president?" So I turn up the volume, I sit on the edge of my seat, like, what happened? Well, the conversation was liberals in America are conducting an unconstitutional, unpatriotic coup against the president. And those two conversations are so separate. And therefore our communities are so divided. It is not an easy problem for us to tackle. I tackle it in small ways. For example, I was on the floor of the Senate this week, going from one Republican colleague to another, seeking support for the Individual Development Account Program, which is a program that was very bipartisan in the past, and then also for a pollinator bill, because many of our farming efforts require pollinators, and the goal was to do a pollinator bill that wouldn't have any enemies in the agricultural world, because sometimes some pollinator approaches create deep divisions. So I was trying to get bipartisan cooperation on those two pieces. And I do that all the time. I'm setting up meetings, holding conversations, but in the big picture, we are profoundly divided and we don't have a good answer. I do think, though, that we should have a requirement for members of the House and members of the Senate to do what Senator White and I do here in Oregon, to have a conversation in every county every year, because this type of interaction is missing from America now. And part of the reason is members of Congress are afraid to hold public town halls because we've become so divided. And yet town halls are a way to understand each other better and have this dialogue. So thank you for raising that.